Welcome to the Compton PESLonline.com tutorial. This tutorial will take you step by step through the different features available at ComptonPESLonline.com, the site you, as an accent reduction trainer, will visit for all of your online assessment needs. This includes administering the screening and phonological assessment, using an online recorder, and transcribing your client's speech errors. You may view the tutorial in its entirety or select specific chapters. Just a couple of tips. The Compton PESL online program is designed to be used on laptops and desktops, PCs, and Macs, and it has been optimized for the Google Chrome and Mozilla Firefox browsers. One of the great features of Compton Online is the ability to administer the screening or the assessment over the internet using an online recorder. This is especially convenient if your client is not able to meet with you in person. All they need is internet access in a quiet room and a microphone. Here's an overview of the program. Later you'll have an opportunity to try it out for yourself. When you select the Online Recording tab on the main page, you will be provided with some options. If you want your client to complete the recordings remotely from their own location, you'll need to create a link for them. Click on Create a Link for My Client. When you fill out the information on this page, an email will be automatically sent to your client with a link that will take them directly to the type of recording program you have selected. If you just want to practice using the recording programs, or your client is in your office, or you are at their location, you can click on either of these two links to open the recording programs. The screening and assessment pages are designed in such a way to allow your client to complete the process independently. However, you as the trainer will first want to familiarize yourself with the entire online screening and assessment recording process. Let's begin with an overview of both the screening and the phonological assessment. To access the recording programs, you will need to log in using your email address authorized by ComptonPESLonline.com. If you don't have current authorization, please contact us. After your client clicks on the link in the email that you sent them, they will be directed to the first page of the screening. There will be instructions on the use of the online recorder and an opportunity to test their microphone. There are links to detailed instructions on how to use the recorder as well as troubleshooting tips. Your client is instructed in Section 1 to fill in some background information. They will see the trainer's email address in the Send To box. When your client is ready to advance to the next section, they will click on the Send button at the bottom of the page. Section 2 begins with general instructions for completing all of the recordings. This is followed by directions to record 15 words. They must say each word 2 times, pausing 2 seconds between each spoken word. When they stop the recorder, it will automatically upload and a pop-up will appear which asks if they are ready to advance to the next page. Section 3 contains a short paragraph that your client will read aloud into the microphone. Section 4 instructs your client to provide a conversational speech sample. The last page congratulates your client for a successful completion of the screening. Now let's take a look at the phonological assessment. Remember, you will need to create a link to send to your client in the same way you did for the screening. Filling in and submitting this information will automatically send a link to your client to the recording program you select. Typing your email in the trainer's email box will ensure that your client's recordings will be stored in your directory and that you will receive your client's background information in your email inbox. Try out the link creation tool yourself, using your email address for both the trainer and the client. Then check your inbox for the email and try out the link. The trainer always gets a copy of the email that you create. In Section 1 of the Phonological Assessment, there is an explanation about the assessment process and an opportunity for your client to test their microphone with the recorder. There's also a form that your client is asked to complete that will provide you with more detailed background information. The only boxes that are not optional are the ones for their name and email address. This information will be sent to your inbox and will allow you to access their recordings. The 66 stimulus words are presented in two parts. Section 2, Part 1 contains general instructions on using the recorder and presents the first 30 words. The client is instructed to say the word and then use it in a carrier sentence. After completing the recording, they are advanced to Part 2 and the remainder of the 66 stimulus words. The reading passage is also divided into two screens. Part 1 shows the reading passage. Part 2 is the modeled reading section. Section 4 instructs your client to record a 1-minute conversation speech sample. Suggested topics are provided. This last page congratulates your client for completing the assessment. When your client has completed the screening or assessment, you will get an email. The subject line will say, Screening Request Submission or Analysis Request Submission. The message will look something like this and will contain any background information they provided in Section 1. If your client successfully completed at least one recording, you'll receive a second email containing a link directly to our player where you can access the recordings. You can also access the player directly from the website. After entering your email address and the client's email address, the player will appear with any recordings ready to review. Let's take a look at the player. On the left side, you will see all of your client's recordings. Each of the recordings is identified by type: screening, eval or re-eval, section, year, month, day of recording, and the approximate time, Eastern Time Zone, the recording was completed. Click to highlight the desired recording. After it loads, click on the play button to begin playback. You can pause the playback at any time. You can jump back or forward in the playback. If you prefer using another player, you can download the recordings to several formats to your desktop, then open it in the player of your choice. When your client has finished the Compton PESL course, you will want to reassess their phonological system to obtain an objective measure of improvement. Only the 66 stimulus response words and the reading passage are retested. The recording process is exactly the same. When your client is ready to make the reassessment recordings, you will need to create and then send a link to the recording pages again, just like you did for the initial Time 1 recordings. Click on the Online Recording button on the main page of the website. Then create a link for your client, this time selecting the Reevaluation Program. The link that is automatically sent to your client's email inbox will take them to the introduction page of the reevaluation. There they will find a shorter version of the background information page. Your client will then follow the same instructions to record the 66 stimulus response words, which are divided between 2 pages. And the reading passage. The last page will congratulate them for successfully completing the reevaluation. Now that you have seen an overview of the screening and assessment, you can try it out yourself. It's important that you, as the trainer, become familiar with the online screening and assessment tools. That way, you'll be able to answer any questions your client may have when they use this online program. Click the Online Recording tab on the home page of ComptonPESLOnline.com. Enter your Compton authorized email address right here on the login page, and then continue to either the screening or the phonological assessment. It's recommended that you try out all 3 recording types, including the reevaluation. Test your microphone just like your client would, and then fill out the background information, entering your own email address as the practice client. After completing the recordings, check your email inbox. Within a few moments, you should receive 2 emails. The first one will have the client's background information. The second one will contain the link to the player where you can review the recordings. If you don't see the emails, please check your spam folder. Click on the link in the email and listen to your test recordings in the player. This same player, which will contain any of your client's screening or evaluation recordings, will also appear on the transcription screen. We'll talk about the online phonetic transcription program in Section 2.